The latest government U-turn Starmer was referring to came just yesterday evening when advice for 8 regions with high infection rates was changed again. Council leaders and opposition politicians had accused Number 10 of trying to introduce local lockdowns by stealth after it tried to limit travel in and out of Indian variant hotspots. Well, the government amended advice for the regions again to recommend minimising rather than avoiding non-essential travel, as it had initially tried to enforce. Now, that came after the authorities hit back, saying no local lockdowns or any travel restrictions were in place and that they hadn't been informed of any changes. The original change on avoiding travel came on Friday night, but was only spotted on Monday, despite no official briefings or announcements from central government. To discuss the impact of the constantly changing advice at a local level, I'm now joined by Councillor Salman Shaheen of Hounslow. Salman, good to see you today. Good afternoon.
Hi, Bill.
Well, the government changed the advice yet again. Are residents of Hounslow confused?
It's been an incredibly confusing time for us as councillors, for residents that I've spoken to, for many businesses who've been in touch. They want a clear line from the government. We all want a clear line from the government, and it's been U-turn after U-turn. We heard only just moments ago on your show about the chaos and pandemonium and U-turns and confusion right from the beginning of this pandemic, all exposed now by Dominic Cummings. Well, it's still going on.
When did you find out about the lockdown by stealth?
I found out about it yesterday morning when a journalist called me asking about it. And that is an absolutely outrageous position to be put in as a local councillor, as someone who's meant to be advising residents, helping residents and businesses get through this. To find out from the press is absolutely unconscionable.
Outrageous because you should have been consulted by the government directly. But what sort of communication have you had with the government?
None whatsoever on this advice, as it was. I mean, you know, when it went up on the website, they had not consulted anyone at the council. That goes right up to the top of the council, and I'm led to believe that that's the same for those in other local authorities who have been in this situation. It's unfathomable that we could be put in this situation when it's local authorities who are meant to be there supporting residents and businesses through this.
Yesterday, we're hearing that many of those councils, in fact, all of them, were saying just ignore this advice for local areas and just carry on with the national advice. But of course, what we're hearing now is the advice is good, isn't it? Meet outside, keep 2 metres apart for areas with higher infection rates.
The problem with the advice is that its advice is not a local lockdown. And now, when there was a lockdown, businesses were supported through that financially by the central government, by local government. Residents were supported through that financially. But if you have just advice, it's basically the government saying, well, don't go to the pubs, don't go to the cafes, don't go to the restaurants. They will suffer through this, and they're not being financially supported. So the government can't have both its cake and eat it. Now, what we have to do is we have to ensure that if we are going to have any kind of actual lockdown, we support residents and businesses. But if it's just advice, well, the advice is get tested regularly, get vaccinated, and that's absolutely great advice. It's how we're going to get through this pandemic, is if in these surge areas we have surge testing and surge vaccination.
And talking of vaccination, is there strong take-up where you are?
There is very much strong take-up. I had my first dose of the Pfizer vaccine only 2 days ago, and people across the community are getting vaccinated.
But is that happening really now, though, Salman? Bearing in mind what's happening with the Indian variant, was there a slow take-up in the vaccination to begin with?
No, I think the take-up of the vaccine has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm very proud of everyone who has led on that. Our nurses, our doctors, our NHS, and actually I'll give credit where it's due. The government has run a fantastic vaccine programme. Everything else has been error from error to error, but the vaccine programme has worked excellently, and we're seeing high take-up across all age ranges.
Salman Shaheen, very good to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us live here on RTUK.
Thank you.